This is the third episode of COVID Billions. Yusuf Taylor reporting. The Gambia's Finance Minister, Honorable Mamburin Jai, met the National Assembly Finance and Public Accounts Committee on Thursday, 7th May 2020. The committee, dubbed FPAC, questioned the Finance Minister on the expenditure of the emergency COVID-19 funds to address the coronavirus pandemic. The Finance Minister had an interview with the media soon after meeting with the National Assembly's FPAC. Let's listen to Finance Minister Mamburin Jai respond to questions from the media on the recent vehemence and approach to funding the fight against the coronavirus pandemic in the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. You just met the National Assembly's Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs. First and foremost, give us an overview of the sitting story. What's your take?
My take is that it was a very, very good session, interactive, and we were brainstorming on issues that revolves around COVID-19 operations, i.e. the environment and the commodities that we've supplied to the Gambian people.
What's going to be the next move now that we have had some of the concerns being raised by the MPs regarding some of the move taken by your ministry, which they describe as unlawful? Of course, we usually deduction of certain amounts from some of these ministries towards the emergency fund.
Yeah, I said very clear that we relied and we are guided by the Public Finance Act 2014, and even you revisit the 1997 Constitution. The Public Finance Act was done after the 1997 Constitution, and it's like a delegated authority. And what we have relied on is very clear. Section 29, very clear on the environment and the powers invested on the ministry and the minister in particular to reallocate funds. The most important thing is that the amount that was appropriated by the National Assembly still being respected. We have not done any extra budgetary expenditure. Again, the environment, out of the 24 environments, 20 of them were all on travels. And currently, there is a travel ban. So it was a very clear indication that we can use those funds. Especially the intent is all about COVID related. We needed to respond, and we should be proud of ourselves in the sense that it is our money that we use. Up to this moment, I am talking, it is the Gambians' tax money that we are using. We're accountable, and we are doing it in the right way.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the opportunity again. We just wanted to find out, the first vehement was 512.
No, 500.
500 million.
Yeah.
And there is a second vehement that you were making reference to today. How much is that vehement? Where exactly is it come from?
Thank you very much. The second environment is to the tune of about $734 million, and it's very clear. I think everybody is aware that last year I made a pronouncement that we are now enjoying a debt deferral. And we made a lot of savings from that debt deferral. And it's very clear, the second one is 100% coming from the savings that we made from that debt deferral.
So the issue is when you need to pay that money back again, maybe the debt repayments will increase more significantly? How will that work?
No, debt deferral meaning that we are now allowed for the next 5 years or so, we don't have to pay the debt. But we will pay it. But then the good thing is that at the time, we will be paying the debt. And with our increased economic activities and our way of making sure that every debt that we take now and in the future will be converted into assets. When we revisit the past, we realize that some of it were mostly for consumption and other things that were not really giving us the required returns. So we have learned a lot that we shouldn't allow ourselves to go to where we were, 120% of GDP to debt. We hope and pray that with very good economic policy management, we will not return to those dark days.
Why everything is being done in piecemeal and not just having one, perhaps SAP that will address all these issues?
If we were endowed with enough resources in this country, then we will do it in one piecemeal. It's about management. It's about mobilizing funds and resources. And up to today, I said, everything is locally mobilized. So piecemeal meaning activity on activity. First one we said is COVID, 100% health related. The second one we said this is to respond to the cries of those most vulnerable people. That is why we did the second one. And this one we said that savings is there and we had to use it. So piecemeal in the sense that our envelope resources, it's not like we have an open check. We mobilize in a way that will not affect the operations of the government. So the strategy really is, again, I always talk about fiscal discipline. In the midst of all of these things, our envelope to the health and COVID-related activity, that one is open. We are willing, the instructions we have from the President of the Republic is that, you know what, with this one, there is no limit. Whatever it takes to be able to cope the virus and also to make sure the most vulnerable people will also be taken care of.
Have the coming bid made for those that actually successfully applied for the bidding process?
No, what happened is after delivery, there is a very thorough process. You just don't come and present the invoice and you're paid. There is a committee comprising of public procurement, internal audit, accountant general, permanent secretaries. There's a verification process. You supply, and it is the delivery note will now be submitted to NDMA. NDMA will now submit it to Permanent Secretary Trade. Permanent Secretary will now come to the main committee. That's the final authority, where you have both the Director General of Public Procurement and the internal audit. We'll go and verify all of this and then come back to give the authority. So it's very thorough. We are just very mindful of leakages and abuses. That is why every bottle spent in this operation must be accounted for.
But the process leading to the actual delivery is something that when people are questioning how transparent was it, considering the sub-notice that was given?
Yeah, it's a red button. It's an emergency, and it calls for emergency actions. There is provisions in the law right now that could have been used, that's the single sourcing. But we said no. We are responding to those small and medium-sized enterprises, in particular women. If we wanted to go through the normal process, we will just go and do restrictive tender or single tender. Then we will give it to the big boys. But here, what we have achieved, and we are very proud of it, is that only 30% is given to the importers. The entire 70% is given to small and medium-sized enterprises, in particular women. These are the beneficiaries. So we are saying this is another indirect way of a stimulus package, because women, small and medium-sized enterprises, businesses that have been affected, at least this is like a cushion. They will have something to survive. But the process has been explained, it's been transparent, it was publicly announced, and the process of opening the bids, everybody was there. And the selection is very clear. The committee makes sure that everybody will have a small piece of the pie.
Speaking to the issue of the procedure, the process which could have been used, since 500 had already been fired, and we are seeing the EU is giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the Gambia. Could it not have been appropriate to continue spending this 512, which total is available and is not exhausted, and then do a reappropriation given the streams of revenue that are coming in? So there is new revenue coming in. Could that not have been another more streamlined approach rather than this piecemeal approach?
Okay, this money is just coming in now. But by virtue of law, the amounts that are appropriated, this money, the 1 billion from the IMF and the 500 million from the EU, is not in the budget. That is why I have to go back to the National Assembly to be given the authority or the supplementary appropriation to be able to spend. All the money that we are spending up to now is our own money. So the piecemeal approach, because those are monies that we are coming, yeah, we were promised, but the hungry Gambians, how can they wait? We cannot wait. That is why we have to mobilize. We acted in the public interest, public outcry. We wanted to wipe the tears of the Gambians. And I think that's what we did, and we are very proud of it. But the money that has just come in, we cannot spend it. It's there. The 1.5 billion, we didn't touch it. Up to today, I said we are using our own money, our own resources to deliver to the public interest.
And just a final, one last question,
No
which is about the fuel tax. There has been a lot said about fuel tax. What we want to know is for you to tell us specifically, has Gambia government reduced fuel tax, or has the reductions actually come from the natural market rise and fall? Is the ministry taking a reduction? Are they taxing less, or is it actually just the natural market rise and fall?
No, it's both, in the sense that we are sensitive to the world market price. You see, we are price takers in the Gambia because we don't produce oil. So there's a formula we use that the price at the time we use the plugs and other variables, we quantify in and link it to the foreign exchange. That's how we come to the end. At the end of making sure the pump price. Yes, it's both. We did it, but the tax has already been is way down now.
So fuel tax, what was it before and what is it now? Just to give us an idea.
No, it's a percentage.
Yes, percentage.
It's a percentage. It depends on what you're consuming. It's per liter that you're being charged, and then we'll be able to quantify it. So really, it's volumes that you will look at, and then it will be charged according to what is being purchased.
Okay. Maybe we can get that later.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
I just want one question, sorry. Minister, actually, yesterday there's a document that was leaked out, a breakdown of money that has been spent in terms of hotel accommodation and that of material that were bought for the National Assembly members. We give down a breakdown to the National Assembly members. But since this was published on social media, there are doubts in regards to the purchase of pickup from a company in the Gambia, and people were asking whether the ministry could not have used the formula that they normally use when there is a campaign or a political line where the president would take vehicles from other ministries and use them for an emergency purpose rather than purchasing 8 vehicles, pickup truck worth of almost $3 million or $6 million. So that was the outcome in regards to the price that have been named, and they have named hotels like the Badala Park, which is not a 5-star hotel, but you look at how much was spent there, almost $3 million. So there were questions, how can you convince the public how this funds were spent, and the issue of the procurement of a new brand pickups?
With all of this exercise, there is at the level of policy and operation, this is an operational matter. And that as far as we are concerned, that is the job and the responsibility of the Auditor General. There is always a post-audit activity. So all of these things will definitely be looked at. I'm not very sure whether in terms of the cost of the pickups and all, but if you go and take vehicles from other ministries, you're handicapping them. You handicap agriculture, you handicap health just to buy taking. But if you have funds that you can provide to purchase the vehicles, why not? The funds were available, and I know that they went through a normal procurement process instead of going, because whenever you take those vehicles, by the time you return it, maybe something is wrong with it. But once the funds are available, you just go ahead and purchase it. But the other issues about hotel accommodations and all, those are operational issues that I don't have the information, and I'm sure the audit exercise will reveal all of that.
Thank you.
Purchase your dream 3-bedroom home today at Mamuda for less than $3 million, only from Redland Capital.